Hello everyone, it's Jessica here with another layout for the Shimmerz design team, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be using all spray products today. So I am taking this Vicki Boutin newspaper printed paper and I am prepping this with some clear gesso by Flair, and I just use my spatula to rub that on across the page to prep my paper to hold all the mixed media. While that's drying, I am going to pull out some of these Vicki Boutin leaves, and these are actually chipboard leaves. I'm just going to spritz them with all of these different colors of sprays just to give them some variation on color. I was actually surprised how well these held up to the product, and they're really thick and they held up to those sprays so nicely, and they blended together just perfectly without even having to apply any of the gesso. What gesso does is it gives you a nice base to hold up to the mixed mediums and wet medias, and it also makes it more blendable. So if you want to blend your colors together or do any watercoloring or anything like that, it does blend them together quite nicely. Where if you didn't put gesso on things, it just kind of soaks up the color. Like there's no gesso on these, it's soaking the color up, but they are still blending together just the way that I wanted them to look. So it must be that finish coating on these particular chipboards, but it takes the color very nicely. It ended up exactly how I liked them to look and what I was going for. I'm just using some various products today. So I'm using all sprays, as I mentioned, but I am using a bunch of vibes in Cherry Christmas, Pumpkin Pie, Quit Your Whinin', and Mustard Seed. I'm using Coloringz and Tangy Tangerine and some Color Splash in my favorite Gold Digger and Whites of Their Eyes. So here my paper is pretty much dry with that gesso, so I'm just going to go ahead and start spritzing color on here. I didn't really care for that Cherry Christmas whenever I first sprayed it on there, but as it blended together with the other colors, I really liked it. I think it really gave it the perfect pop of that kind of maple leaf red that you see in the fall here in Pennsylvania. So it was just the perfect colors that I was looking for. And the Pumpkin Pie vibes was also a really good fall one. So I blended all these colors together. Now I'm just kind of giving it a little bit of splatter. This is what it looks like when I let it dry. I just let it dry naturally. I didn't use my heat gun or anything. I had to go work, so I had to actually do my full-time normal job as a finance person. So I did this before work early in the morning and knew that I could let it dry so then I could come back to it later. And then here I'm pulling out my stamps from All in Create. These are some beautiful grungy leaf stamps. I love them. So I am just stamping a bunch of these on here with some archival ink, and then I'm just going to fussy cut them out, and they're gonna look so cute. I really wanted to have kind of a newspaper print shining through the color, so that's why I chose this background. I just thought it would look so pretty. I'm actually going to come back in a little bit later and stamp a couple more and make them just some of the newspaper print itself and just a little tiny bit of color. I really liked that as well to break up the color of the rest of them. See, I have a couple there that's pretty plain that I'm going to mix in, and there's my chipboards. Those are all finished and dry and beautiful, and I just want to take some twine here and wrap around these just to give it some more texture and just add a little something to them. I had this idea in my head from a couple layouts ago, and I've been wanting to try it on these leaves, so I thought this was a good opportunity to do it. So I just wrap it around there, and then I just taped it to the back. I'm just kind of staggering it on some of these to give it a little bit more interest, but I really like the way that they turned out, and it was super easy and quick to do. So I do that to all the chipboard ones that I'm going to use, and I'm going to start with this one at the top because it's pretty big. So I want to keep that one at the top and kind of cascade them down my layout. I've chosen this background paper by 49 in Market, and I've got a photo here already matted with some smooth white cardstock. This is one of my maternity photos from my last pregnancy, my third pregnancy, when I had my baby girl. I did not know what I was having. We didn't find out with any of our kids, so it was an absolute surprise, but it was in the fall when I was pregnant and had my maternity shoot done, so that was perfect. My shirt, I think it says don't eat pumpkin seeds. It has a big pumpkin on it. So I thought I am going to pull out all those photos, and I'm going to be scrapping those in the fall here because they are just gorgeous photos that my sister took of me when I was pregnant, and I want to get them documented and into my book. I'm pulling out another 49 to market. This is my favorite black and white striped paper. You guys have heard me mention it before. I love it. I think it's back in stock from A Cherry on Top, so I'll link that below if I can grab the link for you. And there's pretty much how I'm going to lay this out. I'm going to pop a rub-on title here. This is also by 49 in Market by their Art Options Spice collection. And I'm just going to build a little bit more and use one of these small phrases at the bottom as well. So I'm just going to do a rub-on title today, which is something different I don't normally do. I normally have acrylic piece titles or cut files or letters and alpha something to pop out, but this is just going to go right directly on my page. And just a little tip here, if you're layering these like this, make sure you don't stick them to each other, because I had some problems. I stuck the little phrase right on top of the first one and I didn't know it at the time until I go to peel it off. So I actually made a little boo-boo and had to fill it in with black, but thank God it was the black one, because that's an easy fix, where if it would have been the color, that would have been a little bit harder to fix. So I'm just cutting some strips here. This paper is actually a scrap paper that I had left over from a layout I did with the Rust and Revs collection by 49 Market also, I believe. And it was sitting in my tray here beside my desk, so I thought this color was just perfect to make some little tassels. So I've just cut a strip into a long rectangle, and then I used my fringe scissors and just fringed the whole entire bottom, and then just rolled it up to create a little tassel. And I'm just using my old clothespin there that I like to use whenever I'm using my heat tool to hold that together for a moment, so that I don't have to sit here and hold it with the Nuvo glue in there trying to dry. So I'm going to create 2 of those just to add a little bit more texture to my layout and just give it a little pop. The other one's good to go now, so I switched them. Yeah, that one's done. I'm going to grab some twine here from my stash. This is a really pretty twine. It's got some gold laced through it. It's just twine that I got from Michael's, and I just thought it was really pretty. So I cut a pretty large strip of it here, and I'm just tying a bow at the top of my tassel, and then I'm going to leave these tails go throughout the whole layout. So they're just kind of going to hang there, but look like it's kind of like a leaf garland. And I'm just going to twist it up and turn it and just give it some interest there. I'm going to glue it down in a moment to exactly where I want it. And that's how it's going to be. So I got some here on this one too. I just cut it down, and I'll probably end up trimming a lot more off of this one, because I'm going to place this one down about halfway down the page, I think, or maybe not so far, but I'm going to place it down on the page a little further. So I'll end up cutting more off of that one. I've got my little leaves on the left side of my photo as well. I thought it needed a little cluster there, so I'm going to add a couple leaves, and I'm going to start gluing all the rest of these down at this point. I love how they look like they're crinkled, and they're just good to go. With that mixed media, it kind of just crinkled up the paper a little bit, and it was just perfect for those leaves. Normally with my gessoed pages and my mixed media pages, I would normally run it through my hot laminator to smooth it out if I was using it for a background, so it takes out any warping. But since I was using it for these crinkly leaves, I didn't have to do anything to it. I've got some more Art Options Spice embellishments coming in that I'm going to add to these pages, like these little wordy bits. I'm going to go ahead and stick my photo down at this point, because that's where I want it to be, and I want to embellish around it. So I want to go ahead and stick that down. I'm going to get this tassel placed down here in a second, but first I need to finish gluing down my leaves and get twine around this last one here. So I'm just going to wrap that around here real quick. I'm using some ombre twine. This is just some normal twine. I think I originally got it probably from Michael's or Walmart or something like that. And it's just been in my stash for a long time. So I am adding some pop dots to this one though, because I had a little issue with that top one sticking down. Didn't really want to stick very well. So I just added some 3D foam squares to the bottom of it just to pop it up. And then there's my other leaves coming in. I'm going to finish gluing these down and then add a few more embellishments. And that's really, this one's pretty simple. It wasn't hard to do this mixed media. It's a very easy technique, which is something that I need in my life lately. It's easy and quick things, but this one definitely was not a quick layout. It took me a long time to do this. It was kind of like I call it an all-day process, but I wasn't working on it all day, but I was waiting for a lot of things to dry. So that's what took so long on this layout, but after the dry time, it went pretty fast. I just had to fussy cut all of my little leaves out, so that took a little bit of time, and you guys know that I hate fussy cutting. I wish they had a die for this leaf set, but I couldn't find one, and I don't know if they make dies or not. But yeah, All in Crate. I love their stuff and I love their stamps. I've been using them a lot lately, and they have some really cute products. I just wish they had a die to cut that out because I'm a lazy fussy cutter. So I've got the rest of my leaves here. I'm going to finish gluing these down and popping some of these up, like this one. I had to add double foam squares to some of these to get the dimension to match up in the way that I wanted it to look. And then I grabbed those purple leaves there from the Art Options Spice collection as well. I just thought this layout could really use a good pop of purple, and I just think it looks so pretty on there. I'm really, really glad with how that turned out. So I'm going to finish gluing these tails down on all this thread, and then I'm going to grab some sequins from my stash here and add a bunch of those to this layout as well. So I just need to finish gluing these tails down, trimming off the excess kind of as I go. My baby girl's coming in and moving stuff around I see at the bottom of my frame. She's always here and around and playing with my stuff. At least she didn't get into my twine bin today. Normally she gets into my twine bin and she's got it like all wrapped around her like necklaces, but she didn't do that today. I kind of kept it up from her today, I guess. This little heart I thought was so cute. I just have to fussy cut it real quick and put that right at the top over here. And I'm just going to add that to that little cluster and add a little bow to it. I just thought it would look cute and it would kind of make the layout balance if I added a little twine bow to this side as well. So I'm just going to do kind of the same thing I did with the tassels on this. So I've got that. I've just roughed up the edges a little bit just with my fingertips, and then I'm just going to glue down my bow. I had a little whoopsie and I pulled it off by accident, but it'll dry soon, so I won't have to worry about it. I just need to cut off the excess because it's a little bit too long. So I'm just going to cut that off here in a minute whenever I go to glue those tails down. Here's when I had my little rub-on whoopsie. I did the rub-on transfer with the tool that comes in the package. Usually I use my bigger bone folder to do my transfers, but this one works very well too. But I have this thankful on here, and then I realized that the bottom piece was stuck to it, and I probably could have like cut that off and just kind of glued it on there, but I didn't want to do that. I figured it's black. I'll just use my black pen and make this work out, and I will just make it look like it meant to be that way. And you can't even tell, honestly. I mean, I can't even tell, but I think it looks just fine, and it worked out. So I'm just going to glue these tails down, and then I'll grab those sequins here in a minute and finish embellishing this. So here is the finished layout. I love how this one turned out. I actually went in and added some Flair from Scrappin Happy Studio as well. And I just love this one. I think it just turned out so nice with all that mixed media on those beautiful leaves. I'll link everything below that I've used in case you want to grab anything from the shop. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.